Gentleman yields back without objection.
This is from the Pennsylvania Independent. Convicted sex offender serves as faith leader of Philly Moms for Liberty chapter.
We'll now recognize Mr. Kiley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did want to briefly address a comment that the ranking member, the representative from Texas, made about my state, California, claiming that our state gives disproportionately to the federal government and is some sort of donor state. Actually, the state of California gives nothing to the federal government. Individuals and businesses do pay taxes, and Governor Newsom's suggestion that we should withhold those taxes, as our Treasury Secretary has pointed out, is threatening to commit the felony of criminal tax evasion. As to this notion that Los Angeles is somehow a model of good governance, just today, Los Angeles came out with its new homelessness numbers. The current count is 72,308. The police chief in LA has formally advised people not to wear jewelry when they go outside because they will get mugged. The city just announced 614 layoffs because the finances are such a mess. And this is to say nothing of the recent riots and the catastrophic wildfires that came after the mayor defunded the fire department. But on to the topic of today's hearing. It's bad enough that we have all of this funding going towards NGOs that then support radical ideological causes. Sort of the logical next step that we've seen is funding organizations that then directly commit or facilitate criminal activity. And this is exactly what we saw with respect to the recent riots in Los Angeles, where you had a group known as CHRLA, the Center for Humane Immigration Rights Los Angeles, that played a central role in organizing the riots. They made use of a hotline through Signal where they would inform rioters at any given moment where ICE personnel could be found, so those individuals could then converge, they could disrupt their operations, they could use commercial dumpsters as battering rams, they could assault officers, and so forth. CHRLA, by the way, has been implicated in other ways in all of the recent chaos that we've seen. For example, the incident where tire spikes were used to disable the vehicles of Border Patrol. The individuals engaging in these crimes were carrying the tire spikes in bags with CHRLA's name on them. And to top it all off, Karen Bass's recent proposal to give cash cards to illegal immigrants supposedly affected by ICE operations are being distributed to them by, you guessed it, CHRLA. So I've introduced a bill, the No Tax Dollars for Riots Act, which will make sure that organizations like this do not continue to get funding, and indeed that they cannot claim tax-exempt status. President Trump has enthusiastically endorsed that bill and said it should be passed immediately. On top of that, this committee, the House Judiciary Committee, has opened an investigation into CHRLA's use of the federal funding that it received during the Biden administration. It also received $34 million from California, accounting for the vast majority of its revenue. It's effectively a subsidiary of the state, or a subsidiary of the sanctuary state, if you will. So, with all that being said, Mr. O'Neill, or if Mr. Gonzalez or our other witnesses would like to chime in on this, how problematic is this that we now have these public taxpayer funds being used to directly facilitate criminal activity?
Extremely. Thank you for your question. Yes, in fact, a lot of the riots we have seen on our streets, the college encampments, all of these things are paid for with CHRLA, I think, by the way, received $30 million, if I'm working from memory.
$34 million, most recently from the state.
Yeah, most recently from the taxpayer, and thank you for making that distinction between the state of California and California's hard-put taxpayers. So CHRLA just raked in government money and was one of the organizers of the riots we saw in Los Angeles. But everywhere we've seen, you talked about the Tides Foundation, in New York, the Answer Coalition, Students for Justice in Palestine, all these groups are either received funding from these dark money people, or are fiscal, or these dark money centers are fiscal sponsors of them. So, I think it is very concerning, even in cases where, and I think in these cases that I'm talking about, crimes have been committed, but even in cases where it's not illegal or criminal, there's such a thing as unseemly and disturbing, and we should be able to talk about these things.
Absolutely, and there's certainly a whole range of conduct that is objectionable, but it's particularly objectionable where the funds are used in a way that actually violates other laws that we have in place. Thank you very much to my colleague from Kansas, Mr. Schmidt, for yielding the time. I will yield the remainder of my time to the chair.